Welcome to the In Between. This is part of the Enduring Minds podcast on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. These episodes live between our guest conversations. More than that, they're about the space between what the world sees and what we actually feel. Each episode, we will take something real, something relevant, and break it down. This is raw, honest conversation, no hot takes, no quick fixes, just curiosity, connection, and showing up as we are. Today, Jason and I are going to talk about a video that Chris Martin, the lead singer of Coldplay, shared with his fans on Instagram following a show in Hong Kong this week, where he openly talked about noticing people, including himself, struggling with depression. He went on to discuss things that have been helping him specifically. I want to warn you that now that the conversation of depression is going to be brought up in the video that we're going to be talking about in more in depth today. If you or somebody you know is in need of help, please dial 988 and get the help you need. You are not alone in this world. All right, well, let's get into it. And I want to direct this first to Jason. After I sent you that video, I know we had a little bit of a back and forth. And I think the thing that blew my mind with this wasn't a marketing ploy. This wasn't like a gig or anything. I mean, Chris Martin is not a barroom act by any stretch. So what are your thoughts about, again, what are your thoughts about these larger than life people coming out and sharing these types of things on these platforms? And I mean, it had 500,000 views in a very short amount of time.
It's powerful. That was my first thought. Like, here's somebody who is known around the world, right? He's not known within a small little bubble in whatever town he's from. And before we jumped on this show, I went and looked at the video again. And perspective is the thing that I gained from it as well, because 28.6 million followers for Coldplay, 496,000 likes on the video, and 12.3 thousand comments. For those of us who are content creators, we're constantly stressed out about all kinds of things, who's liking the video, who's not liking the video, and we give ourselves this anxiety and pressure. Here's the lead singer of Coldplay, right? And if you do the math, 28.6 million followers, and I'm going to say only 500,000 likes. Like, that's a small number. And yet we're stressed out constantly about talking about doing things, producing things, because instead of getting 100 likes, we might get 70. Like, the reality is, man, those are vanity metrics, and you should do the thing that you want to do, because that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, it's, you think that these people are superhuman when, again, they're up on stage, they're doing their thing, they have, multi-million-dollar record deals and millionaires and living in massive houses and jet setting the world, but they're people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be clear. Like, these are just people like us who have problems just like us. And to be honest, I am sure, I mean, I am not by no stretch a rich person when it comes to a monetary side of things. Do I think I'm a rich person in my life? Absolutely, with the things that I have around me. But with more money, I mean, we we heard the old song, the old rap songs as kids, like, more money, more problems. Like,
Yep.
you're not immune to it. And in fact, you're probably actually more exposed to it because you're putting yourself out into these arenas and to these spaces that you have a lens on you and you are being watched constantly. And I know we talked about it in our first episode of the In Between. Like, this is not a small individual coming out and talking about this. And I looked a little bit further back as well, just kind of curious if there's any history with him. And he has a history of depression. He's talked about it before. In his life, 5-6 years ago, which, again, like, this is the thing that I always talk about is depression, anxiety, whether it be PTSD, all of these things, they lay dormant and they will pop up when you likely aren't handling something, or you didn't deal with something, or your life is showing you that it's like, now is the time to look forward and manage these things. And I just loved how he was not telling people what to do, but telling them what worked for him.
Yeah. I think the other thing that comes out of that too is to constantly talk about this stuff. It's not easy. But the idea that it took you some time to figure out that the last time he spoke about this was 5 to 6 years ago, and that's no knock on him by any stretch of the imagination. But when people are looking for help and needing help, if you're talking about it, then you're going to be able to help them. And I think that's one of the things that I love about this particular show is, right, we're putting it out in between our other shows so that people, when they're facing depression, anxiety, stress, don't know where to turn, don't know what to do, they might hear two guys talking about it. And that might be the pressure release valve that they need to be like, okay, some other people are talking about this. And they're talking about Chris Martin of Coldplay. And they're talking about Jaron Duran of the Boston Red Sox. And all of a sudden, these dots are getting connected, and that might help people. And I think that that is one of the things that is important to me is we could talk about this one time and then never talk about it again. That doesn't help me personally, and I don't know that it would help anybody else because with all the information that comes out every second of every day, things are going to get buried. So I appreciate you being a willing participant in these conversations, helping us find articles and topics to talk about on Enduring Minds as well as the in between, because I think the more we talk about it, especially for myself, the easier it becomes to talk about.
Yeah. I would love to know your thoughts on this little thought, because you talked about the connection points. And my wife is very big into like our life showing us certain signs and the things that we move towards. And she talks about this thing about us unlocking doors for each other. And that's how I feel we've moved through our podcast or other things, or the conversations we had with any of our guests and the things that they've shared. It's unlocking doors. It's opening things, opening you up to the things that you didn't know about and probably wouldn't have known about had we not had that conversation. So what has it been for you, again, kind of coming back around to like depression, mental health, these other aspects, like the doors that it's unlocking for you right now? Like I just want to kind of jump into that.
For those of you who are listening on podcast, like a huge smile has come across my face because all I keep thinking as you're presenting this conversation is I used to think all this stuff was just hokey bullshit, right? Just pure hokey bullshit, rah bullshit. Like, come on, man, you can handle this, you can do things. And what I've come to realize is I need help. I need a lot of help. And I have noticed things all along the way. So in our show notes, we talked about, or Chris Martin also talks about free form writing and burning it after you've written for 12 minutes. And Joe Harden, who is part of the podcast network we have here, used to put up videos of a note that he would write. You know, it would say something like, "You're not good enough." And the video would be of him crumbling the sheet of paper and throwing it in the garbage. And the symbolism is immense, right? And then I start getting into that. And then all of a sudden I start talking to Evan Birch. And then all of a sudden we decide that Enduring Minds is a thing. And then the in between is a thing. And all of these components, these dominoes start getting knocked over in a sense that has empowered me to talk to people. But I think it's also opened up my mind's eye, Evan, to what other people are saying and doing and how I can apply it to my own self. So I don't want to hijack the entire show, but I just read a Substack 2 days ago about not having a plan and not going through a routine. And they were talking about doing hill repeats and how on like that seventh hill repeat, it just became muscle memory. And it turned out to be a really hard thing to do because they forgot the pace that they were supposed to go at and they were just going through the motions. And I realized that that's what I did earlier this week with this company that I'm trying to build. And all of a sudden I went back to writing notes and writing things down. And so again, the ability to gain perspective and hear what other people are saying has allowed me to open my eyes to other things that have allowed my life to get easier, if that all kind of makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I want to kind of touch on that piece, like we talked about, where he said what worked for him, but he wasn't telling you what to do. And I think that's the beauty in somebody who has gone through, whether it be depression, eating disorder, mental health, anything within that realm, that category. I think that's such a beautiful place because that individual understands it at such a unique level that they know that if it were them, they want somebody to just sit with them in the dark. They don't want somebody trying to drag them out of it. Like, oh, you should get outside and we should go to the bar tonight. Like, no, like why don't you just like come over? Let's, watch a baseball game, watch a hockey game, just hang out. and just like be there. Like just sit with somebody in the dark. Like that is like the easiest way that I can describe for anybody who doesn't know what to do. If one of their friends, family members, anybody is going through it, be willing to sit with them in the dark. And I think that is such a sweet spot, like I said, of him not pushing things on people, but really just laying out all of these ideas that are like, here's what I do, and this is what really helps me.
Were you capable of doing that, sitting next to somebody, or would you have described yourself as a problem solver? Somebody says, "Hey, X, Y, and Z happened," and you're like, "Well, here's the solution." Or were you capable of sitting with them and letting them, process and you just being there for support?
It was so far gone that I wouldn't have even known that they were trying to process something. I wouldn't have even had the awareness to either pull them out or sit with them. I'd be so worried about how to like fix, or to be perfectly honest, not even listen to what they wanted to say and just give my 2 cents, which is an awful place to be. But it's because I was going through my own stuff that I didn't know, that I hadn't met, that I didn't have the awareness level to even recognize it in other people.
How did you come to that space to be able to do that, right? And Chris Martin talks about a handful of different things in that video that can help people with depression. And to your point, he's not telling you what to do. He's saying, here are options. Because one of the things that I think is most difficult for people is to be present for others without concerning themselves in that presence. In other words, just sit there and listen, like, and don't offer solutions. Like a solution sometimes isn't um, always necessary. Oftentimes, it's literally just listening.
Yeah, the phrase "that sounds hard" is just as good as offering something. Like you don't have to own what that other person is going through as well. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I've had to realize is other whatever emotions or feelings or thoughts that somebody is experiencing, I can be there with them in that, but I don't have to own those or take those on for myself. Like both things can exist equally at the exact same time. I can be extremely happy with the direction that my life is going, and you can be feeling depressed, anxiety, all these other things, and we can sit together and we can both like have that space and time for each other, and it can be okay. You don't have to own it. You don't have to fix it. And I know I will say a lot of men are fixers. Like we want to dig somebody out like with a snow shovel and problem solve. And I'm like, maybe it's not something that needs to be solved. Maybe it's something that actually needs to be felt. And you're doing them a disservice by trying to pull them out because they likely need to feel it.
Yeah, the solution is in the feelings, right? And that's
Mhm.
it. It's literally, and I think that's a great point about getting connected to ourselves. If we're able to connect to ourselves and understand those feelings and emotions sometimes is laughter and smiles, and other times it's crying, and other times it's silence. Like, and those are all acceptable forms of emotion. Like, you don't have to have the quote unquote right way to have an emotion. And I think the sooner we as men are capable of processing that, I got to be honest, man. Like the world opens up. Like the world has opened up for me in terms of who I want to talk to, who I'm willing to talk to. It's also empowered me to mute and block and move on from people because they aren't adding to my life; they're taking away from it.
Mhm.
And it's hard to do that at first, but then you come to grips with, if I remove the thing that's impacting me in a negative way, I can now give to something that I want to in a positive way.
Yeah, and those people that you talk about that may drop off or not really be serving you in your life anymore. And again, there can be no animosity attached to it either, just understanding that it's, the time has passed, that that relationship has kind of met its like match or met its time, and just understanding that it's like those individuals as you grow, if they are not growing either in parallel or some other way with you with regards to that, or at least championing what you're doing within your growth, they're always going to remember you the way that you were. They're
That's right.
not going to remember you with the Jason that is willing to come out and have these conversations. They're going to be like, well, no, that's the guy that wouldn't even like cry in front of anybody. And that's who I remember. And those are the like that sucks being around that energy constantly for people that they don't they can't see you any other way.
Mhm.
So why would you stick around that?
It's a great question, and I think it's something that we um, internally battle, especially in the era of social media, right? Where it's like, well, if I stop following Jane or Joe, they might stop following me. And it's like, yeah, that's okay. Like that'll happen. And within a week or two, you probably won't even remember Jane or Joe because all of a sudden the negative that you were feeling from them is gone. And the positive is the thing that you can now lean into. Um, and I don't think I can emphasize that enough because it's something I'm still learning to deal with. Before we got on to the recording of this episode, I was telling you about the imposter syndrome that I deal with every day. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I deal with it every day. It's a comparison trap for how do I grow the business, and oftentimes the business is me, and so it's like, oh, if people don't like this, they don't like me, kind of thing. And so I deal with it on a constant basis. And one of the things I've started to do, and it goes back to what I saw Jaron Duran do a couple of weeks ago, and I know we talk about it all the time, is journaling. But I've realized that if I journal, like it could just be a single word and that's enough. I don't have to journal the way somebody else tells me how to journal. And I laugh about it because it's amazing that when you empower yourself, you're capable of doing the things that you know that you can do to help you.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like getting back to what Chris said, where he was noticing depression in other people and himself. So, like, I just think to myself, the when I first read that, I was like, or watched the video, I went like, what people is he who is he noticing going through this, right? And I can only imagine that somebody who's a celebrity that's very well known, like they have a very small inner circle, I would imagine. So whether it be like people at his shows or anything, like who is he noticing going through it? And I think that's the thing, like depression, it wants you alone, it wants you by yourself. And the hardest thing is like realizing that like sometimes like putting yourself into that aloneness is actually what's like not serving you. But just that noticing that he's like the fact that Chris Martin is noticing that people are going through some depression, like that's a that's a high level person who may see other people or individuals in life going through those things. But I wanted to talk about the one piece when you had asked me before, like what did I do to allow myself to get into the space of being able to recognize in other people. And I did a lot of things with therapy, acupuncture, and breath work to me was probably one of the most transformative because it's always with you. Your breath is always with you all the time. It's one thing you can always come home to if you learn how to like harness the power of it. And he talks about the Oxygen Advantage book, and that's the training that I've done. So I went and got my certification. I just finished it over the last few months in the Oxygen Advantage, and it really is about functional breathing, more about nasal breathing and creating efficiencies within your body, and about getting out of your head and into your body. And it's about daily breath, sleep, performance. There's so many aspects to it. But when he talks about that breath work piece, he kind of just like briefly touched on it. But it's I think people have forgotten how to like self-regulate, and breath is such a powerful way to do it.
The the idea of self-regulation is has to be the thing that social media has taken the most away from us about, right? Where you've got people who are quote unquote influencers who have no nickels in their bank account, but they're going out and renting Ferraris and Porsches and cars to pretend that they've got it all together. Like that world, doing that will immediately put you into a depressive state because you got to hand that back over. And then you're going home and you're like, well, shit, I don't got two nickels to rub together. And so it makes me think about like, how does a person who's going through that process use the things that you've learned through breath work to process and to take that first step forward?
Oh, that's a deep one. I think the key is understanding that even when you're going through depression, you're going through those other things, the unknown is a very scary place. But I've learned through everything that I've done that I allowed the unknown to be the scary place for a long period of time. I actually argue now that the unknown is less scary than staying comfortable and staying stuck. The unknown is where the growth happens, where you push yourself beyond that possible little bit of fear that you're experiencing because again, the imposter syndrome, whatever that might be. And I think allowing yourself to go to those places and understand that the only way to figure out how to handle those places are to put yourself in them. And that's a tough place, but that's where, again, going to a professional, whether it be a therapist, acupuncture, sound healing, you name it, there are so many modalities that you can go towards. Choose something, try it. And if it doesn't work, you're going to know pretty quickly. So don't be afraid to just not, I don't like using the word try. Don't be afraid to just do it. Have a reflection, and you don't have to go back if you don't want to. It's one of those things that you have to be willing to put yourself into those places.
I think that's what we've done here, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, we've put ourselves into a scary space where we're two men talking about, mental health struggles, vulnerabilities, obstacles, depression, anxiety, stress, imposter syndrome, you name it, we're talking about it. We're putting ourselves out there. But I think having you by my side makes that much easier to do it because I know you're on this path with me. And I think that's a great lesson for others to go find the thing that works for you, right? I've tried journaling; it's come and gone. I'm starting it up again. I've tried doing therapy, and it worked at the time, and but now this is the thing that I look forward to: is a peer who's on the same path with me, and it allows me to express myself, and it allows me to share my story and share myself out there, which is empowering for me. And so I think, to your point, find the thing, whatever it may be. Don't worry about how somebody else is doing it, but find the thing, and give it all a shot at some point to figure out, because there might be something better for you that you don't know about.
Yeah, to add to find the thing, also find the people.
Yeah.
Like, find the people that are going to allow you to level up to where you can go. But I argue that those are the people that you find that know that you can go so much further. Like,
Mhm.
they see a trajectory that you can't even see yet. Like, those are the people that I want to align with. The people that are willing to put you at this like pedestal that you don't even know you should be on, and they just see something in you. I'm sure your wife, my wife, other people that we've surrounded ourselves with, like, there's a reason you're with those people, and it's because like they make you level up. Like, I definitely married up. There's no doubt about it. I will say it loud and proud. I mean, I'm sure you can too. Don't want to put you on the spot with that, but it's one of those things. Like, find your people and understand that it's like it's okay if they're not your people, and you can have honest conversations with them. And if they don't understand what that is, then they're probably not your people.
Absolutely married up, no doubt about it. It's not the first time I've said it. It won't be the last time I've said it. But your point about the people, I went to Chris Martin's video and I started scrolling because I was like, I wonder if somebody has popped in here to just be the antagonist. Did somebody pop in here to just be the person who's like, you asshole, whatever, right? And I scrolled for a number of minutes and every comment was positive. And it made me think about what you just said. Like the person that commented found their person in a sense in Chris Martin, giving them permission, shall we say, to express themselves, to talk about depression, to talk about finding ways to deal with their depression in however way they wanted to. And
Hmm.
so I know oftentimes celebrities and A-listers and sports personalities get dunked on constantly, right? Like stay in your lane, don't do this, don't do that. But I think about if he doesn't have that video, the number of people that, what did I say, 12,300 comments, right? I don't know if all 100% were positive, but 12,300 comments. Somebody in that group found something that they're going to take home and empower themselves and better their lives. So it is they found their person in that scenario.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put a pin in it with that because I think you nailed it. It's like they found their person with that, and he was just human. And that's what the end of it, like, all of us, if you strip everything away, all the podcasts, all the running, all the accolades, everything, you strip it away, and he was just a human, and that's what people gravitated towards, which I think is like an absolutely like beautiful way for him to reach people and his fans and people that connect with him is just to like just be himself. And like I said at the beginning, it wasn't a marketing ploy. It was just him being raw and real, no different than what we're doing in all these conversations that we're going to be doing with the in between. So, in saying that, I want to thank you all for joining us. We're going to put this show out every couple of weeks, as we said. The in between, which will be between all of our Enduring Minds guest episodes. We're going to be choosing a topic that's going to go on, that's taking on our, going on within our world, and continue to prove that we don't have to do any of this alone. And again, on this episode, we talked about Chris Martin from Coldplay and his own struggles with depression, alongside recognizing it in others around his circle. And really, he provided some tools to us that has helped him. And I hope some of those tools that we talked about today can also help you. And I will see you in a couple weeks, Jason, on another episode of The In Between.